Hello, this is Jordi Roquer from Barcelona. As I told you in one of the mails previous to this meeting, I would like to lose the opportunity to share some ideas with the group since I've been in touch with some of you in previous meetings, and especially last year in Cremona, we started working on some specific lines. So I will make you a very brief presentation to tell you about our activities, and I would also like to raise some of our concerns about digitation and dissemination. To start with, this is a brief chronology that shows a selection of our projects in the last 10 years. In 2009, we found a very interesting collection in a country house in South Catalonia. This was a crucial project because it put us on the track to discover the interesting role production in Catalonia, and not only about Victoria level, but also in relation to some other activities, mostly based in Barcelona. It also made us realize that there was a big amount of private collections ready to show us amazing things. So, making a deep research on Victoria, we found some unknown pieces by Frederic Mompou and Manuel Blancafort. We also found a big amount of unknown material written under pseudonym by some great composers in Spain. Both the Music Museum in Barcelona and the Library of Catalonia let us study their hopeful and built roles, recorded by Granados, Falla, Frank Marshall, and also some compositions by Clifton Worsley, a Catalan composer which seems to be one of the introducers of the early jazz in Spain. We then got our first optical system and started digitizing institutional collections like the one in the Music Museum of Barcelona and the amazing collection in the National Library of Spain. I have to say that we'd like to keep on working with these big institutions because we feel there's still a lot of beautiful work to do. All of them have a lot of material still to preserve, and this type of projects are not easy to plan, as all of you know. There are no standards, the diversity of the materials are really complex, and well, some kind of academic consensus is needed. This is the main reason we are all here today. So I guess we are in the right direction. What more? We have also been founded by two American associations. The Association for Recorded Sound Collections. That one was for studying the dance compositions I was referring to, the ones by Bonpou, Blancafort, Martinez Valls, Story Rivas, Torres Nin, and a Grammy Fund to study a selection of roles from Ecuador. This is traditional music like Pasillo, San Juanito. We have discovered the no levels and no pieces, and this in fact has turned into a PhD research carried on by Diego Rodriguez, who is making an ethnomusicological approach to social construction of nationalism through cultural production with some amazing results. Finally, we are starting to provide some tools for musical analysis, graphical analysis from both recorded and metronomic rolls that I will try to show you briefly in a few moments. Well, so talking about our perspectives, right now our research is focusing in three main areas: preservation, dissemination, and analysis. For the first case, the fact that we've been working with different scanning technologies with quite a big amount of rolls, up to 10,000 by now, make us feel that maybe there is not a perfect or a definitive system. Well, this is a crucial idea for us that preserving the rolls must be treated as something different than making its music sound. As you all know, having the roll in digital doesn't mean that you have the right interpretation of the piece. This is quite obvious in metronomic rolls, but I would even say that it's also applicable to reproducing rolls, at least in some level. But of course, this is only an opinion. And that doesn't mean that we don't want institutions to upload the audio files of their collections online. In fact, we are very proud of our collaborations with the big Spanish institutions. But I think that some of the roles could be shown under certain conditions. And that moves me to the second area of interest, which is dissemination, where I think we would have to do a lot of pedagogical work to give the right information to users and investigators, to be sure that they are not being confused and they are not understanding or rolling the same terms than at this recording. And of course, they are listening to a metronomic roll, and they have to be sure that this is something completely different than listening to a reproducing roll, etc. Nowadays, I have to say that we still don't have a clear opinion about which is the best way to show a metronomic roll in an audio format. I mean, I feel that showing a metronomic roll with a fixed interpretation does not render justice to its historical condition of something open to multiple or in fact to infinite interpretations. I think we have to be aware of that amazing and unique condition that turns a roll into something halfway from a score and a recording. This is why I think that the dissemination would have to be accompanied with an important pedagogical work, and this is live concerts, talks, seminars, workshops, etc. That means we have a lot to learn from the very few people who really know about the historical, the technical, and even the aesthetic issues. Um, Without these people, I think it's really difficult to plan not only this kind of pedagogical work, but also a proper dissemination of the preserved materials. Well, finally, concerning to the analytical level, we are working on graphical analysis from the digital files obtained by our systems. This lets us make such an empirical study of things like rubato, chordal structures, attack displacements, hand dislocation, etc., etc. We are on the track to develop a specialized software to do this kind of analysis, and we have to keep in mind that analyzing piano music must be much more than analyzing a piano performance. This would be a very narrow approach. We should aspire to much more, since piano music lets us go farther to the music itself. I'm talking about reception, maybe social taste, even gender studies could have an interesting field, as some of our researchers are showing. This means that analyzing these digital roles, it's not only a matter of musical analysis, which is quite relevant by itself, of course, but also a matter of musicological research in terms, again, of pedagogical approaches. So our philosophy nowadays is that preserving and cataloging is only a small part of the whole. We need to put efforts together to put these materials in contact with our societies, and that means being able to move forward the limits of a museum or a music department. So cooperation is going to be crucial, and from our point of view, an international project would be really helpful. And well, I can only talk about the European framework because it's what I know better. But certainly there are some interesting calls that could fit very well with our mutual interests. From my point of view, an hypothetical project could be articulated by a university department plus several institutions, museums, libraries, etc., for each country involved. Maybe 4 to 6 countries could be a good formula. But of course, there are so many things we have to discuss, and a video file is not the best place to do it, of course. We have also to think about cataloging criteria, new adapted metadata schemes, etc. But this is not our area, so I hope this meeting will be a very good starting point for this. And well, finally, I would say that in Spain there is a growing interest, real interest in the pianola world. Of course, in Barcelona, with different universities joining forces together on pianola research. The Music Museum of Barcelona, the Library of Catalonia, but also in Madrid, there is an interesting activity with amazing collection and the action of the National Library of Spain. And we know there are some amazing private collections both in Madrid and Barcelona. And well, the academic world is realizing how important this field is. There are now several PhD students making research on this topic, and there are plenty of little projects that, well, make us think that pianola music is going to have more and more present in the cultural scenes. So I'm really optimistic on this, and I just feel that putting our efforts together will surely contribute to move forward. So thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you all very soon.